Right. Well, good. So happy Juneteenth to everybody. We will be working on our own sort of freeing ourselves from any hangups that we might be harboring today. The goal of today's class is just to release things that no longer serve you, right? So throw off those shackles of self-constraint. And that might mean not going into the most advanced modification in any particular pose. If your body wants to rest or if you want to modify, please do. So today we're actually going to begin in reclining butterfly, right? So you're going to bring the soles of the feet together, lie yourself down. Some of you might want to put a block or a book or some pillows underneath the thighs if you want that support. Otherwise, you can let gravity just do its thing. Take a moment to tuck your shoulder blades onto the back body. And then just a nice natural curve in the cervical spine so your chin is pretty much facing up towards the ceiling and the arms can extend alongside the thighs. Some of you may prefer to reach the arms overhead or to clasp opposite elbows overhead as well, whichever is most comfortable. And just allow yourself to soften into the mat, let the hips gently open. Once you're comfortably in your reclining butterfly, consider closing the eyes, placing perhaps, if you like, the right hand on the heart and the left hand on the belly. Otherwise, arms can stay as they were alongside the thighs or overhead, whichever again is most comfortable. And then checking in with your breath. Just feel it as it comes in and as it goes out. And now begin to regulate the breath, utilizing your pranayama, finding that balance between inhalations and exhalations. Nice, long, deep, steady breaths in and out through the nose. Some of you might like to utilize your ujjayi or victorious breath, which is a slight hugging into the back of the throat. And that may make an oceanic sound. As long as you're conscious of the breath in the present moment, then that's a good place to begin your practice. We'll take a few more breaths here. On the next exhalation, allow the palms to come together at the heart. Begin to rub to cultivate some warmth. And then sharing that warmth with yourself, with the right hand come to the heart, and symbolically with those around us and beyond left on top. And perhaps setting an intention for your practice. And today, perhaps you're also looking into maybe anything that you'd like to free yourself of. Any thoughts or behaviors that no longer serve you. And on the next exhalation, we'll draw the knees in towards the armpits, right? So giving ourselves just a little bit more deepening to the hip flexors, and you could rock from side to side. Then we'll draw the knees together to give ourselves a deeper hug. And again, rocking from side to side with the length of the spine. And on the next exhalation, we'll draw the knees again, sort of to the outsides of the ribs and the soles of the feet towards the ceiling, coming into our happy baby pose. And feel free to be static or to rock. So if you're holding on behind the thighs or taking hold of the shins or maybe the feet, energetically draw your sit bones back down to the mat. They may certainly lift, but energetically draw them down. And some of you might want to work one leg towards straight and then the other, or both simultaneously. And so the hips and the lower chakras are said to hold our samskara or stored mental aversions, our Gordian knots. Right? So just allowing things to release, to open. And then as we exhale, we'll give ourselves another hug. And then release the feet down onto the ground so that the ankles are beneath the knees. Tuck your shoulder blades again onto the back body and let your palms face one another in like a robot position with the elbows down on the mat by the ribs. And then we're just going to play with mobilizing the pelvis. So we're going to tilt the pelvis so that the low back lifts and establish more of that lumbar curve. And as we exhale, we'll flatten it out. So we'll tuck the pelvis. So do that a few times. It's a subtle movement, but you'll feel the significant difference in the low back. Amy talks about having sort of a cherry tomato or a grape that you're going to create some space for, and then you'll squish it. Okay, so try that rocking just a few more times. And then with that space, right, you could even slide your fingertips underneath to see that it's there, but you'll be able to feel that. Pressing into the balls of the feet and toning your core will lift the hips up into our bridge pose. And hold there, hug your shins in, activate your glutes, and then just take a few breaths. Consider lifting all 10 toes so that you feel more weight shift into the balls of the feet. And then on the exhalation, we'll lower the sit bones down with about halfway of that curve, right? So we're not exaggerating, it's just a natural lumbar. And on the inhalation, we'll lift. And as we get to the top, we'll energize the glutes a little bit more. And then exhale and lower. Let's do that a few more times. Inhale. And exhale, release. Pressing into the feet, inhale. Exhale, lower. And one more time. Good. So we'll hold here. Some of you might want to work your right leg up towards the ceiling for a modification, or crossing the right ankle to the outside and on top of the left thigh for figure 4. You could also walk your hands underneath the hips to get a little more lift and to start to stretch into the wrists. So any of those variations. When and if you're ready to come down, you just lower the sit bones and we'll come back into our reclining butterfly. So if you're working, take another few breaths. Make sure you're doing both sides. If you're resting, just resume your pranayama. Again, notice the breath. Make sure it's steady and equal with inhalations and exhalations. And you're always welcome to stay here, or if you're prepared for another couple bridge poses, we're going to tuck the feet again beneath the knees and then lift the hips. And then we're going to synchronize the movement. So on the next inhalation, sweep the arms overhead. And as we exhale, we'll lower the sit bones and the palms down by the ankles. And then inhale, lift, arms reach up and over, and exhale and lower. So do that a few times on your own at the pace of your breath. And again, remember to maintain muscle energy. So your shins are hugging in, glutes are engaged, navel up and in, supporting your low back. And then the next time the sit bones and the palms come down, pause there. We'll take the feet slightly wider than the hips, so let the knees draw together like a little tent. If that's enough stretch, you'll stay here. If you want to go a little further, we'll step the right ankle on top of and to the outside of the left thigh, like we did for our figure 4. We'll lower both knees over to the right. You can reach the arms out for support, maybe even rolling the chin towards the left shoulder. But both shoulder blades stay on the mat. You could resist up with the bottom leg and press down with the top. And then at some point, release to go a little deeper. And then tone and inhale, slip the right foot back down and we'll take the opposite side. So the right knee draws towards the left ankle and then the left ankle steps on top of to the outside of the right thigh and both knees descend over to the left. When it feels balanced, we'll slowly come back to the center. We'll step the left foot down. And then from here, one more time, we'll hug the knees into the chest, give ourselves a squeeze, and then we're gonna rock and roll. So consider the length of the spine. If your spine's too prominent or if you don't have enough padding, don't worry about it, just hang out for a moment. Otherwise, we're gonna rock ourselves up and not let the heels touch. Try to stall it out when you get to the top and like freeze frame it. Make some cool, like stuck in space. Yeah, good. Find a good expression. Maybe reach your arms out in front. Some of you might even do it with the legs straight. Take your boat pose. Good. Couple more breaths. Lift the chest on that inhalation to come up. And then from all poses, we'll meet in an upright position. And we'll just give ourselves a hug. Curl it in. Then since we're here, we're going to continue to rock onto the sit bones to get a little bit more lumbar. And now we'll work into our beach chair position. So the fingertips are in front of the sit bones. We're still hugging that imaginary block between the shins. We'll just lean ourselves back. And if you want, you can just work the right leg to straight. And if you're modifying, take the opposite side. And 2 more breaths, switching legs if you're modifying. And then from all poses, however you want, we'll work ourselves to all fours. When you get there, make sure you have enough padding for your knees. We're gonna hug an imaginary block between the forearms. Press the upper arms out into imaginary straps and hug your shins in, broaden your sit bones, belly up and in. Tuck your toes. Just lift your knees a few inches off the ground. Okay. Keeping your spine long. Some of you are going to stay here. You're always welcome to rest. If you want to intensify, you'll work your right leg to straight. And then release. Take the opposite side. And release. Now, keeping the knees under the hips, we'll walk the hands out in front, coming into our puppy pose, and melt your heart towards the mat. Forehead follows, ears between the biceps. You can keep the forearms lifted, or you can release them down. And keep breathing. On an inhalation, coming back to all fours, we'll tuck the toes and now draw the sit bones up and back for downward facing dog. Really shift the hips back so that the weight is predominantly in the legs, and then drop the heels in the direction of the mat. Relax your ears again between your biceps, and then you might want to bend one knee and then the other to stretch the opposite calf. You can keep both knees slightly bent to accommodate the hamstrings. And then on your next inhalation, we'll shift the weight forward and come into plank pose. You can use your knees. As you exhale, shift the weight back, downward facing dog. And inhale forward to plank. And exhale, downward facing dog. One more time, inhale to plank. 3 breaths. On your exhalation, with or without your knees, lower down through your chaturanga. And we're coming back up into plank. Good. 2 more times. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise, with or without the knees. Exhale, lower. Inhale, rise. From here, we're going to transition into upward facing dog or cobra. And on your exhalation, shift the hips back again and downward facing dog. Good. Check in with your breath. On your next inhalation, shifting the weight towards the left heel, reach the right leg towards the wall behind you. Stretch into that left calf a bit. And on the exhalation, draw the knee towards the nose. Inhale, kick it back up. And then exhale, release. We'll take the opposite side. Left leg works to straight, rooting into that right heel. And then exhale, knee towards the nose. Kick it back up on your inhalation. And exhale, release. Walk your hands back to your feet and take your Uttanasana, your forward fold at the back of the mat. Soften into ragdoll. And maybe swaying from side to side, or nodding and shaking the head, or clasping opposite elbows. With the knees bent, chin to the chest, slowly begin to curl yourself up one vertebrae at a time. And when you get to the top, rolling the shoulders back and down, and do that a few times with the breath. And then pause with the blades on the back body. Then we'll transition, take a few sun salutations. So when you're ready, inhale, reach your arms high overhead. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, extend and lengthen. Step or jump back to plank. Chaturanga. Inhale, baby cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Good. From here, we're going to reach that right leg back up like we did. Exhale, knee towards the nose. And now step it forward and come into a low plank. You're welcome to drop the back knee. Otherwise, if you're lifting that back leg, really work the left inner knee up towards the ceiling. Try not to just collapse your ribs onto your hip flexor. So lift up a bit from there. Finally, scissor your left hip forward and your right hip back. And then maybe hug the blades. Right? There's a lot going on. So you're staying here, or you're starting to draw the shoulders over the hips. And then any expression with the arms. Two more breaths wherever you are. On the exhalation, we'll release, step it back, downward facing dog. Take a couple breaths. Opposite side, inhaling, the left leg lifts. Exhale, knee to nose, and step it forward. Option to drop the back knee or to work it towards straight. Hug everything into the midline, get nice and strong there. Shift that left knee directly over the ankle, and then either standing here with a long spine or coming up any amount. Belly up and in. Any arm variations that you like. Exhale, release. This time we're going to take a baby step in with the back foot. If the back leg isn't straight, work it towards straight, and we'll shift the hips back. You might bend the knees if need be to accommodate hamstrings or sore knees. Otherwise, legs can work towards straight. And then you're welcome to keep your hands on your hips and keep a long spine or fingertips to the ground. You could start to draw the forehead towards the shin if you're opening up. Keep pressing into the balls of the feet, leveling the hips, lengthening the spine. On the next exhalation, we'll step the right foot forward and inhale the left foot back, taking the opposite side. And again, you can start just drawing the crown of the head towards the opposite wall, or start to fold forward any amount. Next inhalation, step the left to meet the right. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, sweep the arms high overhead. And exhale, heart center. Good. Check in with the breath. And out through the mouth. Let's do one more like that. Inhale, out and up. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, extend and lengthen. Step or jump back to plank. Chaturanga. Inhale, baby cobra, upward facing. Exhale, press it back, downward facing dog. Inhale, reach the right leg to straight. Exhale, knee towards the nose. Step it forward. Now, you could also sweep it out, right? You could drop your knee and sweep it out. There's lots of ways to get there. And then working that back leg to straight or keeping the knee on the mat. And then maybe shoulders over the hips. Any expression with the arms. 3 breaths. As you exhale, continue your flow. We'll step into plank, chaturanga, baby cobra or upward facing. Exhale, press it back. Inhale, work the left leg to straight. Exhale, knee to the nose. Step it forward. Opposite side. Option to inhale, reaching the arms up or the shoulders over the hips. Exhale, continue. Step it back, coming into plank, chaturanga. Inhale, baby cobra or upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, swoop the right leg back up. Exhale, knee towards the nose. Step the right foot forward. Take a baby step in with the back foot. And once again, pivot to intensify the stretch in that right hamstring. Some of you are drawing your forehead towards the shin. We'll step the left foot to meet the right. The right foot steps back for the opposite side. From here, consider the posture before you do it. We're going to shift the weight into the left foot and then start to work the right leg towards straight. Fingertips can stay on the ground, maybe the palms, spine's long. For our standing split now, you can stay here. The leg can be about in line with the hip, or you can lift it higher. Some of you might take one or both hands to that lower left leg and start to draw the forehead towards the shin. As you exhale, release. Step the right to meet the left and take your forward fold. Maybe bending one knee and then the other. And then we'll shift the weight into the right foot and do the same, lifting the left leg. And you're welcome to stay here. Or going deeper, crown of the head towards the top of the mat. Or balancing by taking one or both hands to that right leg. And maybe you continue that process of folding forward. Your drishti will really help your balance. As you exhale, left foot comes back to the top of the mat. Let's all bend the knees and soften into ragdoll. And then maybe sway. Just release the upper back, let the head get heavy. Last one here for the moment. option to take the first two fingers around the big toes. You can do this with knees bent. And then you're trying to sort of pick yourself up. So you're really pulling up. And then at the same time, still establishing that lumbar curve as much as you can. That happens from the legs activating, shins in, thighs out. And you're trying to lengthen the back body. And then as you exhale, use that energy to draw the crown of the head towards the mat, and maybe working the legs towards straight. Some of you might want to step your feet onto the palms. Do the same thing. Maybe initially try to pick yourself up. And then exhale, crown of the head draws down. And release the hands, bend the knees, and slowly curl yourself up. One vertebrae at a time, chin towards the chest, belly up and in. When you get to the top, rolling the shoulders up and back with the breath. And then resetting at the top of the mat. Deep breath in and out through the mouth. Good. Place the hands on the hips. We're going to work into the hip flexors a little bit. So always honor your body, right? This area can burn out pretty quick, so take a break when you want to. We're going to lift the right knee and pause at 90 degrees. And that might be sufficient. We're going to stay here if that is. We're still trying to sort of spiral those upper inner thighs. That broadens the sit bones, and we're supporting all that with the belly up and in. If you're good here, you're going to stay. If you want, you're going to pulsate with the breath, lifting and lowering the knee just above the hip. Let's do 5 more. And then you're holding, or you're resting, or you're continuing, or now you're going to work the leg towards straight. And 5 more here. Now you have the option to hold, to continue to pulsate, or to work the leg towards straight for a few breaths. And then let it swing. Feel that? Good. Yeah. Shake it out. Reset with the palms to the heart. Deep breath in and out through the mouth. Good. Let's do the opposite side. Firm down into the feet, shift the weight to the right foot, lift the left knee, get it to about 90 degrees. The tendency is we kind of want to lean back, so make sure we're standing up as tall as we comfortably can. And you're welcome to hold here or to come back to this position at any point. If you're pulsating, inhale up, exhale back to hip distance. And then 5, 4, 2, holding, resting, or working it towards straight. And 5, holding or resting with the leg out, any amount. Breathing. Good. And exhale, let it swing. Good. And walk over the feet. Reset palms to the heart. Deep breath in. And out through the mouth. So in that sort of same vein, step or jump your feet out wide. Good. And then we're going to turn the feet so the toes are out and the heels are in. And everybody just do a little cool dance. It's Friday after all. It's good. And then we're going to lower ourselves down. And as we do so, we're pressing the knees to the right. So they're, well, I shouldn't say that. I should say out. Right? so that the knees are still trying to track to the center of the foot. You still have that lumbar curve. Still have a little bit, not overdoing it and definitely not tucking it. Find that happy medium. Sit as low as you care to. As we stay here, you might fatigue, so you want to come up. If it's not intense enough, you go lower. But the knees are pressing out, belly's up and in. 3 more breaths. As we inhale, we'll come up to take a break. Palms to the heart, deep breath in, and out through the mouth. We'll sit back down. We're going to work into the shoulders while we maintain this position with the legs. So from here, we're going to make little circles. And then larger. And as you're making your circles, you're hugging the arms in towards the sockets, right? Even as you're lengthening out through the fingertips. And that will cross one wrist over the other, and we'll do 5 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Alternate giving yourself a pat on the back. You're always welcome to stand up to release the legs. And we'll reach the arms back out. We'll go in the opposite direction. Larger and larger, and then crossing over. And 5, 4, 3. Good. And patting yourself on the back. Taking hold with the right arm on top, slowly come up. Take a moment, give yourself a big squeeze, deep breath in, and out through the mouth. Sit yourself back down. Good. Reach the arms out. As we exhale, we're going to let the thumbs come together. As we inhale, we'll reach back out. And 5, 4, 3, 2. Hold out in front for a breath. Inhale, rise. Left arm on top, big squeeze. Good. Deep breath. Out through the mouth. Last one. Sit yourself down. Press the knees wide. Reach the arms out. Inhale up, touch overhead. Exhale out to the side. And 5, 4, 3, 2. Hold on this last one. Exhale, bend the elbows. Inhale, rise. Exhale, palms to the heart. Heel toe yourself or jump back. Feet hip distance. Deep breath in. And out through the mouth. Good, and just shake it out. Woo. Reset. Full breath in. And out through the mouth. Let's sweep a couple under the mat. So inhale, reach high. And then exhale, bend the knees and just sweep it out. And then curl yourself up. And inhale, reach high. And exhale, sweep. 2 more. Now, on this last exhalation here, we're going to stay in this forward position. Take a moment just to rest in your ragdoll. Move as desired. And then we're going to pick up an imaginary block. But we're doing that first by hugging the shins in and sticking out the bottom. I have a real block here. I'm going to hold it. And the idea of having that imaginary block or the real block is to have a little bit of like an object that you can feel a little resistance, right? So you're hugging in on that, and then you're going to draw the blades onto the back body. So anytime you're picking up some object, you want this muscle energy, right? Heavy thing. So we're going to pick it up, blades engage onto the back body. My glutes are doing most of the work, not my low back. I'm going to sit my sit bones down, and then we can reach that object out in front a little bit more. So it gets heavier We draw it out in front, away from the body. Take a few breaths. 3 more. As we exhale, we'll pull the object in and inhale up towards standing. Imaginary or real object. Inhale, reach it high. Good. And then using that energy, exhale over to the right. Inhale, center. And exhale, left. Inhale, center, gentle back bend. And then exhale, back to the heart. And then maybe a little bit wider than hip distance. We're gonna sit it back down. Reach it out again. 3 breaths. And then as we exhale, placing it back onto the mat, we move it to the side and again, resume your ragdoll. And now with the knee slightly bent and the chin to the chest, curl it up 1 vertebrae at a time. And when you get to the top, 3 rotations of the shoulders with the breath. And then reset with the palms. Good. Deep breath in and out through the mouth. We're going to work with our balance one more time. So instead of tree pose, we're going to start with our wrapping of the toes around the ankle, hug in. So that energy. And then you can just stay there. Maybe have your hands on your hips or your palms at the heart. Then if you want to go a little deeper, you're going to press into the balls of the feet and lift the heel. And then exhale and lower down. So on your inhalation, you lift and exhale lower. You can do anything you like with your arms that may help your balance or challenge your balance. Finding somewhere to direct your gaze, typically 3 or 4 feet on the floor in front of you will help the focus. On your next inhalation, see about lifting the heel and keeping it off the mat. Go a little higher maybe. And then exhale, really shake it out. Good. You can walk over the feet. We'll take 1 more side. Left toes wrap around, we hug in, find our focal point. Maybe we just stay here and balance, or you pulsate with the breath. Maybe going a little bit higher on each inhalation, and maybe a little slower down on each exhalation. And then on this next one, stay static. And release. Cool. Shake it out, reset, deep breath, and out through the mouth. Just allow a few breaths here, checking in, slowing the breath if it's sped up. We'll step our feet just slightly wider than hip distance and we'll bend the knees again. This time we're going to shift the weight to the left foot. We'll take the right ankle on top of and to the outside of the left thigh. Then we drop the right knee down. Flex the right foot, help protect the knee. And then you can balance any positioning with the hands and the arms that you like. If you want to go a little deeper into the hips, you're going to stick your bottom out and tone your core and start to lengthen forward. Maybe then the fingertips, the palms, or the forearms come to the lower right leg. Long spine, muscle engagement. Some of you are going to stay here perhaps. You can close your eyes if you want to challenge your balance or one at a time. Some of you might start to bring your fingertips down towards the mat. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't. Some of you might even get your palms. If you're getting close to the ground, you could wrap the toes of the right foot around the left tricep. You could shift forward into the palms, lift your gaze, pick up the back foot, and then start working that leg towards straight. Transitions are part of the pose, so on the way out, same attention that it took to get down, and slowly work your way back up. Find your balance at the top. Good. And then gently release. Nice. Shake it out. We'll take the other side. Rooting down into the right foot. Bend the knees a little bit. Taking the left ankle to the outside of the right thigh. Flex the foot, drop the knee. Right. Staying upright or pivoting forward any amount. Notice any differences one side versus the other, honoring the body. So each next iteration, you're continuing to listen. Take a couple more breaths, get the full expression of your pose. When you're ready, mindfully begin your transition. Find your balance and release. All right, good job. Deep breath in and out through the mouth. Take a sun salutation, inhale up. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, lengthening halfway. Exhale, release. Step or jump back to plank. Chaturanga. Baby cobra, upward facing. And exhale, shift the hips. Holding, resting, or one more time, reaching that right leg up. This time taking the knee to the tricep. Some of you might come into your arm balance there. Hook the elbows into the ribs. Shift the weight forward. And you can pick it up. And back. Downward facing dog. Take the opposite leg when you're ready. Knee to nose or an arm balance or prep. When you're done, we'll just drop the knees, shift the hips back, bring the big toes together, and take our child's pose. Maybe rocking the hips from side to side. Any variations with the arms that you like, maybe bending the elbows to stretch the triceps. Making a pillow with the palms or fists stacked. As you inhale, come back to all fours. We're going to sweep the right foot forward, coming back into that low lunge. This time we'll keep the knee on the mat to start, and then perhaps we'll bend the back foot, the knee in, flex the foot towards you. Some of you might want to reach for it. If you get it, you can start by kicking it away, maybe rolling that right shoulder towards the ceiling. And then you could also hug the heel in, go a little deeper into that left quad. If reaching back for the foot is not happening today, just keep shifting the hips forward and you'll get more into that right hip and hip flexor. You can also walk the hands out in front any amount. So just depending on where you want to focus, maybe the quad or the hip, maybe a little bit of both. If you have the foot, release it. From all poses, we'll shift the hips back, working that right leg towards straight. And then start by drawing the toes towards the forehead just to get a little more muscle energy. And then you can play with drawing the ball of the foot towards the mat. Just take another breath or two. As we inhale, we'll shift back into that low lunge. And we'll just pivot that right leg around. And then step the left foot forward, take the opposite side. Left knee directly over the ankle, leveling the hips. Some of you are going to continue forward to deepen into the hips primarily, or bending that right knee, working into that right quad, any amount, maybe reaching for the foot, kicking it away, or hugging it in. Rolling the left shoulder towards the ceiling. And take 3 more breaths. If we have the foot, release it. From all poses, we'll shift the hips back, working that left leg towards straight. Find some energy in the foot, long spine. And when you're ready, we'll shift the weight forward. We'll pivot that left leg back around. And we've been working lately on our squash frog pose. And again, this is a really good one for getting pretty deep into the hips, but it can be also intense on both the knees and on the groin. So modification would just be to do one side at a time. I'll show you real quick. If you're taking just one side, you're basically gonna kind of like get into sort of a little baby sleeping position. One knee's out, rest the hips. And the more you sort of shift the weight to the right, you're gonna feel a little bit in that hip flexor area. You're gonna be at about 90 degrees. Or you're gonna take both knees at the same time in that Charlie Chaplin foot position. And then from your palms, you'll lower down onto your forearms. And I immediately start to feel it there. So that might be enough. If you want to go deeper, you start either shifting the hips back and or widen the knees out. Right? But don't tolerate pain in the knees, so make sure you have enough padding. Likewise, keep muscle engagement so that you're not injuring the groin or the low back. As you settle into the pose, you can keep shifting the hips back or widen the knees out. Every once in a while, you can get all the way flat. Yeah, good. That's the full squash frog. There it is. You're breathing. Notice what the mind might be doing right now. Keep it focused on the breath and directing the breath into areas that need a little release. And then when you notice that release, choose whether or not there's enough to go deeper, right? It's like peeling through the layers of the onion. We'll take maybe 5 more deep breaths. Keep that muscle engagement and be super mindful as you shift forward ever so slowly. And then when it feels more relaxed, you can hug one leg in, and we'll come back into our child's pose. And maybe rock the hips in from side to side. And then inhale to all fours. We'll neutralize the spine with the cat and cow pose. So exhale, round the upper back towards the ceiling. And then inhale, tilt the pelvis and lift the gaze. Very happy cow. And one more time, angry cat rounding, pressing away. And inhale and arch. Good. And then just come to seated however you like. We're gonna then lower ourselves onto our backs. And as we begin, we'll take a moment in our reclining butterfly. Soles of the feet together, knees wide, right hand on the heart, left hand on the belly. And just notice if there's been any opening, any release, any freedom. You can always take a deeper exhalation. As we exhale, and the next time we'll draw the knees in again. Give ourselves a well-deserved hug, maybe rock side to side or the length of the spine. Soles of the feet towards the ceiling, knees in towards the armpits for a happy baby. Maybe working the legs towards straight, keeping one bent, working the other one. And then drawing the knees in again. Use this opportunity to think if there's anything that you'd like to do to complete your practice. So we'll take one spinal twist together before we go into Savasana. But right now, if there's anything else that you might want to do, perhaps that's a plow pose with the legs overhead. Perhaps it's another bridge pose, lifting the hips, or upward facing bow, or legs up the wall. Anything and everything. Could be a half pigeon. You take figure 4. And continue to personalize as long as you like. When you're ready to transition, you'll hug the knees and ankles together, reach your arms out like wings, and lower the knees over to the right for your spinal twist, keeping the left shoulder blade on the mat. Then the chin can lift towards the ceiling, or you can roll it a little bit towards that left shoulder, depending on how you feel. Feel free to personalize the pose here as well. There's a bunch of modifications. You could bring the right hand to the left thigh for a little deepening. You could take hold of the left big toe and work the leg towards straight if you do so slowly. Some of you might even take hold of the right foot with the left hand and then roll the left shoulder back, not necessarily to the mat. Feel free to linger on this side if it needs a little extra time. Otherwise, inhale through the center and then exhale to the left. Again, option to stay here. When you're ready, we'll come back to the center. We'll give ourselves one more hug, knees in, big squeeze, and then releasing yourself into your final relaxation. So anything that you'd like to be comfortable, gather that up. And we'll work the legs straight. Take a moment to tuck the blades once more onto the back body. Extend the arms alongside the thighs. Releasing our controlled breathing, our pranayama, releasing muscle energy, and just allow ourselves to melt into the mat, to receive benefits of our practice, to allow ourselves this time just to be still and present and connected to self. Allowing a deep breath in and out through the nose to bring movement back into the body. Another deep breath in through the nose. Let it out through the mouth. And once again, full breath in and full breath out. Option to stick out the tongue for a lion's breath. So inhale. Exhale with a roar. If you'd like to continue moving further, maybe wiggling fingers and toes or rotating wrists and ankles, of course, you're welcome to stay in Savasana as long as you like. If you're moving, perhaps extending the arms overhead to lengthen in opposite directions. And eventually drawing the knees into the chest, rolling to your right side to come into a fetal position. You can just take an opportunity to notice any change, any release, any connection. And allowing your head to be the last thing to come up and your best self to rise, slowly pressing upright to seated. Reuniting the palms at the heart when you get there. Consider rubbing the palms one more time to cultivate warmth. And then sharing that warmth with yourself, right hand on the heart, and those around us and beyond us on top. Of course, appreciating yourself as always for making this time for your well-being. Thank you for sharing your practice today. Goodness in me, ours and goodness in you. Namaste.